Around about lunchtime today, a big protest is planned outside the Coles supermarket at Prospect. There'll be about 40 truck drivers, their families and supporters. And joining us now from the Transport Workers Union is Michael Kaine. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, guys.
Michael, what are they protesting about?
Well, look, the tragedy of all of this is that over 300 people each year, 300 Australians lose their lives in trucking accidents. In fact, we don't call them accidents anymore, we call them incidents, because the pressures that are placed on these drivers are absolutely immense, 10 times the national average fatalities than any other industry, and it's because of the squeeze that's put on the industry by the likes of Coles at the top of these retail supply chains. It means that companies are just squeezed for every dollar, and that means drivers have to work just too long or too fast to make a living for themselves and their families. So today, truckies and their families will be out protesting for the purpose of saying to Coles, look, get on board with the safe rates message and get on board with making our industry safer.
The Coles people know that you're putting out the protest. They've sent us a comment that says this is yet another TWU stunt. The campaign has nothing to do with safety. It's a disguised wages push to boost union membership. How do you respond to that?
Well, the key here is that drivers are just having to work too long on the roads to make a living for themselves and their families. In a recent survey we did, it was a large survey. It was 1,000 drivers. 40% of drivers in the Coles supply chain said that they've had to delay truck maintenance just because of the economic pressure on them. And 73% of the drivers carting for Coles said that, you know, what they view as the key pressure is the pressure that's placed on them by that retailer. So, look, it's understandable that Coles would run that line, but that we all know the absolute economic power they have, whether it's with dairy farmers or veggie growers. The trouble is that when they exercise that power in such a way in the transport industry, literally people die on the roads. And, you know, that's what we're calling on them to stop, be part of the positive program for change.
Michael, Coles go on to say that they don't actually employ transport drivers. They have contracts with logistic companies. Shouldn't the protest be more aimed at them, or the ones that take on the Coles contracts?
Well, again, as we all know, the contractors that they use are under immense pressure. It's like if they have a contract to provide milk with a dairy farmer, the pressure that they put on the squeeze for that dairy farmer means that, you know, they're really, really struggling to keep their heads above water. Same case with transport operators. The squeeze for every dollar that Coles is putting on those transport operators means that for them to be able to keep their heads above water, they've got to push drivers too hard. And so it's that pressure that has to be addressed. And there's a new tribunal in place nationally, the Road Safety Remuneration Tribunal. It's looking at these pressures at the moment. And we call on Coles to take a positive approach in that tribunal and lift some of these pressures so drivers can get home to their families.
We're talking to Michael Kaine, Assistant National Secretary of the Transport Workers Union, about a protest that will take place today at lunchtime outside Coles supermarket in Prospect. Michael, don't we have tribunals, don't we have structures in place now that say to drivers, you're not allowed to work too long, you're not allowed to drive too far?
That's a good point, and the thing that all the evidence has showed us over the last 20 years, and the thing that the new tribunal is here to address, is that for so long we've said this is about drivers. Let's fine drivers. Let's put more obligations on drivers. But the problem is that's dealing with a symptom and not the cause. And the real issue here is how do we deal with the root cause of these pressures? And that root cause is the squeeze that the likes of Coles is putting on the industry. And until Coles pays its fair share, until they take some of the pressures off the companies they engage to do the work, then people are going to keep dying and fathers and mothers are going to stop coming home to their families.
Michael, is it just Coles that you're having an aim at?
Well, look, the clear path here is that Coles is the aggressor with their suppliers. We've all seen the inquiries that are around now. Woolworths has shown much more of a willingness to engage about how to make positive change in the industry. as have some of the rest of the retail sector. But Coles is the one that seems at this point to be very aggressive in how it deals with its suppliers. And as I've said, the problem in transport, because those truckies interface with, everyone on our Australian roads, that's a deadly combination.
Well, I was intrigued with the figure that you gave us right at the beginning, that you can definitely say that 300 incidents on our roads are directly related to truckie fatigue and pressure.
Well, the causes of incidents are very complex, but we do know this. There are an average of 330 fatalities in trucking incidents each year, and that's a way proportionally out of whack than the rest of the tragic road toll. And in relation to an industry, a working industry, then in the trucking industry, truck drivers die at 10 times the rate that they do in the nearest terrible other statistic in construction. So it's a problem, and it's not going to be fixed by those with the massive economic power putting their heads in the sand. And part of this protest is to say to Coles and to the coalition, who appear to be backing in Coles about suggesting that they might get rid of this Safe Rates Tribunal after the election. It's about saying to them, look, this is a community issue. It should be above politics, and it should be about making sure that people get home safely to their families.
Thanks for joining us today.